Alright, so I'm good, and I'm going to show you my max block dagger scion. I was trying to see how far into the game I could get with pretty bad daggers, because I think pretty much any dagger spec is pretty much overpowered because of the dagger nodes are extremely strong late game, and mainly crit builds in general are really strong late game. So I'm using level 20 daggers. These are Ungil's Gauches. They are fairly weak, they have no crit roll, and they don't attack particularly fast. And I want to see how far I can kind of get into the game with these sorts of things. On a 4 link, mind you. So if I had like a 5 or 6 link, the damage would be significantly higher because I could have more damage gems put in. So currently without ores, it's fairly mediocre, 550 DPS spectral throw. But if I add something in like Wrath, for instance, it bumps it up 1000 DPS, and then Anger bumps it up another 750 more. This is without charges. If I had charges like power charges and frenzy charges, which I can generate, it goes up to about 3000 DPS spectral throw. And that's with crits, so crits apply shock, and the more hits I do on a mob, the more damage is done. So for shock, maybe it's 5000 DPS? I don't really know. But that doesn't really matter. The clear speed is still fairly good, even with very bad daggers. I was using this as a life-based build before, then I expected to see out because I got tired of chaos damage, and it's about the same. The leech is a lot less. If Volpact was like how it was, how it was like previously, where it was leech applies instantly and there was no mitigation for it, like there's no effectiveness for it, like 40% effectiveness is what it has currently. I think it would be about the same amount of leech per hit as life cannon hit, but I think currently the life-based version of this build would be a lot stronger. So let's kind of see what this build kind of clears like. I don't have movement speed. This is really not a very gear-intensive sort of build. Like, for instance, you don't need movement speed on boots because Whirling Blades is faster than a sort of run speed you can get on items, barring making a build for it, which centers around run speed, which is kind of hard to beat, because that guy runs as fast as Kenyans. But this guy, with pretty bad gear, gets about 3200 pool without discipline. If I ran discipline, it's like 4500-ish. And 2300 DPS with spectral throw with uncharged. So the reason I think they changed how Volpact works is because they introduced a lot of new skill gems. So Volpact used to have kind of a condition where if you were a Volpact life-based build, you were very limited in how you could actually approach maps, or really any sort of content, because if you got hurt, that damage lasted because you couldn't regenerate it. There was no way to regenerate it. You couldn't use flasks, you couldn't use regeneration. You could use devouring totem, but bodies were not infinite. But since they introduced the desecrate skill, you can always just generate more bodies with a small amount of cooldown. And every cast of desecrate effectively gives you another 750 hit points. So I think that's kind of why they changed Volpact, because they realized that you could do life-based Volpact, and you still had a form of regeneration if you combined desecrate with devouring totem. So maybe that might be a kind of a reason why they changed it to be how it is, where now life flasks can still apply. So back to the build. This build pretty much uses crit spectral throw. I have power charge on crit with Whirling Blades. This is why I might randomly get power charges and they might randomly fall off. So yeah, as you can see, the damage is pretty decent. It's very similar to Flubby's spectral throw build, in that most of the damage is derived from auras and basically just gear in general. Ooh, diamond totem, that's no fun. So let's see if I can just rush to the boss, kind of take that guy out. So it's fairly safe because the build has maximum block. So I'm dual wielding Ungil's Gauches, which are level 20 daggers. They do almost no damage by themselves, and they don't have a crit roll, and they don't even have that fast attack speed. Because an Imperial Skein, for instance, without attack speed, attacks about as fast as these do, and an Ambusher attacks actually faster without an attack speed roll. So with an actual decent dagger, it's a lot easier to get more damage, but you won't have quite the block rate as with dual Ungil's Gauches. So let's Gonna just rush the boss if we can find it. I don't really care about these maps. Since they changed how map drops work and how you can easy it is to acquire chisels, for instance, and since this is Ambush League and there are cartographer's boxes, maps aren't really that hard to come by, especially at low levels. So I don't really care about full clearing instances, for instance. Ooh. Alright, so now we're at the boss. I have a skill called Valse Cyclone equipped, which is very strong. And you can really just grind away packs of enemies. It's one of the skills I use. It's actually kind of safe to use because the character has such a high chance to block. So, with 75% chance to block, most of the damage you'll take while in Valse Cyclone is not taken just because of how block works, which makes Leech more effective. Yeah, so take less damage, therefore every hit of Leech is more effective hit points, sort of type of thing. A lot better with Life Gain and Hit than with Life Leech and Vault Pact, but it's still fairly good. So that's kind of the build. Hope you enjoyed it. Maybe you want to do something similar, or kind of do a different spec with an actual damage dagger. This is really just a test to see how far into the game you could actually get with Ungil's Gauches. And it seems to be actually pretty far. Farther than I would have actually thought would be possible. Especially even enough to actually spec into CI with bad CI gear. So, I'm Ghudda, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.